Yeah. So yeah, just been super busy, but I've been meaning to catch up with you. I've been meaning to catch up with you. One, I I completely forgot you dropped the tape. I ain't know Anwar had to remind me. So I had to go back and check that out.
Right,
Two,
right, right.
you got the movie thing, well, the TV show thing going on with Die For You.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, and
Daffodils.
then
Daffodils.
right.
Three, got the pot. You got a lot of things going, basically.
Yeah,
And I'm like, all right, I need to catch up with them at some point or another to do this interview because I had a list of people I wanted to interview. You were on that list.
right.
So I'm glad we doing this. But before we begin, I got to give you the proper introduction like I do most people.
Right, right, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking to an artist, rapper, producer, heavyweight champ of the world. Where you got the belt, the world heavyweight champion, and
Yes,
he
yes,
does
yes.
everything in between. He can produce you
Yeah.
a TV show, he can produce you an album, he does it all and everything in between. And a wonderful podcast host, ladies and gentlemen, mature the servant, Mr. Vincent Parker himself. What's going on?
I wish I had my little podcast thing where I get the audience going clapping like.
Yeah, yeah, they clapping right now. They clapping.
No, it feels good, man. It feels good, man. I am bro, you know,
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure to sit with you, bro. Of all people, when it comes to somebody who knows how to break down and do this professionally in such a way, bro, it's you first. So it's like I've been waiting. I'm super excited. So glad to be on.
Awesome. So when I was writing down my questions, my first thing was like, okay, how can I talk to him and just figure out stuff that I don't already know? And my first question was always like, have you always been a creative in terms of like putting things together or just having visions? Hey, I want to put together this movie or I want to put together this album. Have you always like been that way?
I think I have. I think one of the earliest memories I even have of like being creative was I was in elementary. I think I was in fifth grade. This was during the time we had to take the meat test. I think that's what they used to call it.
Yeah.
And it was on a writing portion for like the writing portion. And we had to write this long paragraph. It was like
Mhm.
a whole page long, and it was like write a time when you did something when you did something nice for someone, or you did something like I don't know, it was something like that. And I wrote this extravagant story about how I saved this boy from getting hit from a train, which did not happen in real life. It did not happen in real life. But I wrote this story about how I saved this boy from getting hit from a train, and it won like the highest level or whatever in writing in meet in Michigan or whatever. And
Yeah.
so my teacher, she at the time, Miss Osandusky, I never forget her name, Miss Osandusky. She was like, she pulled me to the side and she was just like, "Oh, this story that you wrote is so phenomenal, it's so great." And she was like, "I don't know if you've ever thought about being like a creative writer or writing stories." She was like, "But this right here, I'm letting you know, Mr. Parker, you have a gift." And that was the first time anybody had ever told me that something I created was special. And from that point forward, I think I just leaned into everything I've done.
That's that's so interesting. Like people don't realize the power that teachers have.
Man,
Just in like instilling that confidence is such a wild concept
yep.
that it can last for your entire life.
Forever. Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That has stuck with me forever because that was the first again, that's the first person who saw something and was like, if you stick with this, you got something. And I was like, okay. And here we are, 30 something years later, and it's
Yeah.
like Yeah, she was right, you know.
And the meat test is such a wild concept because I have no idea what I even scored on it, no idea what I did.
I didn't even first of all, everything else on the meat test, I completely bombed. Okay, so the writing portion is the only thing that saved me and had the teachers actually impressed. But
Yeah,
yeah, that is just something where it's like I look back on that like that is such a small moment in time, a simple one-time interaction that as long as I continue to do stuff creatively, I would always remind myself of the first person who ever told me that I had something, and it was her. So shout out to Miss O'Sandusky, wherever she is. I don't even know
yeah.
where she is.
That's so that's always interesting. You're like, man, they probably looking over your test like, he sucked at math, but man, he can write the hell out of a story.
Man, that was exactly what they probably was thinking for sure.
Oh, so
Mm.
let's talk about you like as a writer because your art in terms of like you as an artist is so interesting because they always seem like they come from just the most
Hmm.
personal of experiences. Even on
Hmm.
this latest album, there are times where you're having fun. There are times you're talking about dating. There are times where you're talking about just life in general, being in relationships.
Hmm.
Do you ever like find yourself trying to go back to, okay, maybe this story isn't as interesting, but let me tap back into like the story of me saving that kid from the train. And I can tap back into this little bit of a fictional world just to enhance it just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
How often do you do that? Like you find yourself doing that?
I think any song,
Mhm.
I think every song I've done that, because there's a part of me, and I was crazy. I was just sharing this with somebody. Is like, there's a part of me that truly has anxiety as an artist.
Mm.
So I struggle with putting myself completely out there.
Mhm.
Like as an artist, I will in times. There are times when I've had the bravery to just completely write a song where I'm like, everything you heard is me.
Mhm.
But there's such anxiety, especially with social media, with the way people judge people and attack people for just the smallest bit of information. I have the hardest time sometimes wanting to always tell my truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I just wrote a song about living my own truth. And so but I think what I tend to do is I take core pieces or memories of my life, I combine them with the experiences of what I know generally people have gone through,
Mhm.
and then I use that to formulate a song. So I will take experiences I've had dating while also taking what I know people think about dating, combine that together, and then write this song that's part fictional but part truth
Mhm.
as well. Where there's a bar where I might say, that line is me. That next line, not me. That next line,
Yeah.
not me. That line, that's me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's really just about cultivating a story where it's like, yes, this is my story, but it's not so far off fictional that somebody else listening can be like, yeah, that I feel them on that. You know what I'm saying? So I try to toe the line between writing something that's personal for me,
Mhm.
something that's gonna be personal for the listener, and then something that might be fictional, but it meets us both in the middle, you know.
Mm. Is that kind of where the name like Mature the Servant came from? Just you being like a servant in that aspect?
It did actually. It did. It was so there was a time when I used to go by Mature the Icon.
Mm.
And um when I got my life right with Christ, I had realized like calling myself an icon while also being in church talking about the one of the greatest icons in Christian in Christ. I was like, this is a little bit conflicting. So I
Yeah.
was like, but then I realized like my ability to give people music that could help, change their life or inspire them or motivate or push them. That's where I was like, man, I'm more of not only I have matured, so I kept the first name,
Mhm.
but then I changed the icon to the servant because it was like now I'm in a position where my music isn't about self-glorification or self-serving. It's about serving people something else. It's about giving you something that if I write my pain or my struggles or my ups and downs, that when I give it to you, I'm serving this to you so that you can do better, so that you can move ahead and further. So it became more of like the music is no longer about, man, how can I get on and be this and be that? Where it's like, now it's like, let me write about real life things so that you know that you're not alone and that you can get through it the same way I got through it, which makes me now a servant. So yeah,
Mm,
it kind of birthed from all of that. Yeah.
yeah, that's super cool. So from being a servant,
Right.
I'm going to do a little bit of a weird transition here.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the new album,
Okay.
Galaxy. What is Galaxy Boy, Earth Boy, and the 14
Earth
Galaxies.
Boy. Yeah, Earth Boy in
Earth
the
Boy.
14
I
Galaxies.
don't know
Yeah.
why I was saying Galaxy Boy. I think that's a video game.
Right, right.
Let's talk about that album. First off,
Mhm.
how did that concept come about? Just like the Earth Boy concept.
Um, I think I had gotten to a place where I had done a lot of hip hop. I had done the double album Vincent Mature, I had done The Return to Excellence, I had done Don Dada, and so I knew that I was at a different place emotionally and mentally, and I've always said like none of my albums I can write until I experience or live it. So I have to live it first and then I
Yeah.
can write it. So I was at a place where I was just super into music. Me, my homeboy Tainino, my homeboy Feature Lee, we had collabed and did an R&B album called Love Hate. And a lot of that was just vocals. It was some rap, but it was mostly vocal singing. And I kind of came out of that and was still there. Like
Mhm.
they kind of got back to rapping, but
Yeah.
I was still like in this bubble of like, I'm feeling the vibes. I'm feeling the vibes.
Yeah.
And so um I started just again thinking about relationships, love, the journey for love. Like going on Facebook, you see everybody with their posts and they, what men ain't this and women ain't this and I need love and I don't F love and screw love. And it's just like, man, and I just like, okay, I've been on that journey. I've
Mhm.
seen that journey of just trying to the pursuit of love, looking for that person, trying to find that partner. I know what that feels like when you didn't went to the club looking for the person. You didn't went over here looking for the person. You
Yeah.
thought you found them and then it fell apart. And so it made me think like, man, sometimes one of my one of my best friends, Jade, shout out to her, she will always she has this joke of always talking about the space people. She always talk about space people. She was begging for space people to come beam her out of Earth, and she
Yeah.
always just be like, "Space people," and she having a rough day. She just be
Yeah.
like, "Space people, come beam me up out of here." And just thinking on that, it was like, man, sometimes it does feel like all the love on Earth just isn't enough, and you want to go escape and see what's else out there. And so that's where I created this character of Earth Boy in the 14 Galaxies, where it's like Earth Boy is leaving Earth because he's tried all the love here. And he's like, man, there has to be love somewhere out there in the galaxy. And so he goes out into the 14 galaxies searching for love. And then the story commences throughout the album. So yeah, that's where it kind of all came from, a little bit of just some people in my homegirl Boston and her space people, and that kind of registered me being in this vibe place of wanting to create this type of weekend music and just combining all of that to this story of how can I tell people that I understand finding love is hard, and even if we go all the way out there and find love, it's still gonna be the same type of love here on earth, because what it really takes to find love is first loving yourself.
Mm.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's where that was the whole goal in that process of making that album and coming up with the whole Earth Boy character.
Now, on the album, what I found interesting is the amount of different genres that you have in terms of like the instrumentals. You have
Yeah.
reggae, you
Yeah.
got step music, you have
Yeah.
just classic R&B. And when
Yeah.
I first went into this album, I thought to myself, okay, it's a hip hop album. Let me prepare my ears to hear hip hop. And then by
Right.
like track four, I'm like, no, this isn't a hip hop album at all.
What?
This is
Yeah.
anything but. So how long, how long does it normally take you to put together or find the right instruments to go, okay, this is like a great album now. These
Mhm.
can make a great album. And second, how long does it take you to like put these into a common theme to where you
Mhm.
go, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense with track three. This makes sense with track four, and it all
Right.
comes together to make Earth Boy.
Right, right. Man, that's a great question. I think for me, the whole process of even making Earthboy and the 12 Galaxies took about 2 years.
Ooh.
Because while I was working on Love Hate, I was kind of writing just random songs just in my spare time. Songs like Find a Vibe, just randomly wrote that one night. Songs like Rained on Our Love, randomly wrote that one night. And so finding the music for me sometimes takes months because I will like prime example, I'm already working on a new solo album down for later this year.
Mhm.
And I have all the beats for the album, and this is probably the seventh installment of beats because I have taken beats out, replaced beats,
Mhm.
taken this out, put that on, taking that out, put that one back,
Yeah.
taking this off, heard a new one, added this one, took one off. Like, and I do that for months before I finally settle like this is the track list of beats that I'm gonna use. And it's super scientific because I'm thinking about the story the entire time that I want to tell, and I'm thinking about how it flows, how it's going to. I'm listening to each beat transition and being like, I don't like how that transitions, but I need this story to come before this story. But I love this beat and not this beat. So I have to
Mhm.
replace this beat with something else so that it fits
Mhm.
with this one, but I need to keep the story here. So I
Mhm.
have to find something to match the vibe for that. So it gets very, very tedious and it almost becomes brain reckoning. But it's to me that's very important when somebody's sitting down listening to it because they're going to remember that flow and how it made them feel. They're going to remember certain songs because they came after certain songs. So um it takes me a really long time to
Mhm.
find the beats because I'm very particular about like with Earthborn's 14 Galaxies, I knew I needed different genres because every genre was a different planet.
Mm.
So when it was in the club, I needed something very crisp. When I did, 3 a.m. in the club, just in all social, trying to find love. Goddamn, like trying to find something that gave me club vibes. So now I'm looking for something that's Chris Brown but Tigger type sound. And then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, I need an Afro Central beat for Like You, and then I need for Groundhog Day, I need something that's pop, but I need it to kind of have that retro like 70s movies kind of sound. And so I'm trying to find different sounds to fit the planets in the story I'm telling from those planets, but also being like, how do I successfully move from each planet though?
Yeah.
So that it feels like you're traveling. So when you say like, man, it's a different genres, it's like that's perfect because you want to be able to tell like, okay, we was here. Now we didn't went over here. Now we in Afrobeat. Okay, now
Yeah.
we didn't kind of went over here to R&B. Now we didn't went over here, and that's the traveling of Earth Boy. Is to make
Mhm.
you feel like you're going. And so that dynamic of like switching and going around, finding every beat to do that perfectly is so complicated, so hard. But I spend months doing it where I just don't. When you hear an album from me, you've known that every beat that you hear, I have. seriously dwelled, marinated, and worked over 20 times and chose it. So there's never a beat on my albums that I feel like I just threw on there.
Yeah.
Everyone has had purpose where I was like, I needed this beat for this album. So,
And that was the thing that caught me like that was the thing that caught my attention was like everything sounded different and at in the same breath. Like
mhm.
I, how can I put this? It felt like the instrumentals were cousins.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It felt like the instrumentals were cousins. Not like a good example is like the first four tracks of I don't know if you remember it, but Second Rounds on Me by Obi Trice.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard like the first four songs of those.
Okay.
They all have a common theme with each other before he get to like
Mm.
Wanna Know, which completely throws the album off the rails. But
Right, right.
the
Okay.
first four songs, you can tell he's going somewhere with it. You can tell, okay, this is the theme of the album, and it's perfect so far. You
Yeah.
managed to keep that consistent for all 14 tracks, which I really appreciated, which is pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, all right. One thing that caught my attention when you were answering was like you talked about just the anxiety of being an artist.
Mhm.
Does that ever like bother you when you're like on stage or whenever you
It
like have
does.
more life?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's crazy because I'm an extrovert,
Yeah.
but I'm also a very like thin line introvert.
Yeah.
And so it's like I love the socialness of talking with people,
Mhm.
interacting with people. I bounce around the room, social butterfly, but I also have this sliver of introvert that is extremely anxiety driven the entire time because I'm like, did I say the right thing when I talked to that person? Was that right enough? How was I looking at them when they were talking? I was standing weird, wasn't I? And so it's this like, and so when I'm performing, it's like I'm feeding off the energy and the nervousness of even being in front of so many people while also being terrified at the same time. So it's kind of like facing your worst fear with the most confidence, but also the same amount of the most fear at the same time. So it's like,
Yeah.
and so that's why when people just it's like people will tell me like, man, your eyes was closed the whole time, and it's like because my anxiety does not allow me to look at the crowd. I have just
Mhm.
over the last few years tried to practice actually eye leveling myself with the crowd because for years I would just wrap my eyes closed because I would be so petrified to even see people looking at me.
Yeah.
But I also am so pumped off the extrovert in me. I'm giving it everything I got. So people are like, man, your performance was crazy. And I'm like, I saw nothing. Because my eyes were closed. So like I saw none of the reaction that I got from people,
Yeah.
but I could hear it because I hear all the people and I hear them chanting or I hear them turned up, but at the same time, I'm too afraid to see it
Mm.
because there's this imbalance of like my anxiety is super high right now, but I'm also overly confident I know I'm about to crush this. So
Yeah.
it's a weird space that I've kind of just opened myself to being like, that's a thing you do. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Where I don't think I've ever noticed that until I actually started to sit and be like, why do I do these things? And why is it so hard for me to just look at people when I'm rapping? And it started once I kind of just sat and did a lot of that work. It was like, wow, I do have this strange anxiety that cripples me to
Mm.
not want to see any of it, but I feed off all of it, you know? So,
Man, no, I completely understand. Especially like when you're on stage and it's not being on stage that's the problem. It's before getting on the stage that's like
mhm,
the ultimate killer right there.
every time,
Yeah.
every time. I will always appreciate Eminem for one thing,
Mm.
and that is that when he did 8 Mile, that before battle scene in the bathroom is exactly every rapper's experience.
Yeah.
Anybody that's ever had to go on stage or do something, you are somewhere private trying to get yourself together, staring in the mirror, looking at your notes, doing something because you like, I'm about to get up there and have to do this. and the you might not vomit like he did on mom's
Yeah.
spaghetti on the sweater, but but in that moment I appreciated that he did that in that movie because it's like, man, so many people, especially artists, if you looking for me before my set, I'm somewhere off in a corner with headphones in going over my set as if I don't know it because I'm still just like, okay, what's the words? Boom, what's right? And then this goes and this. Even though I've done this song 1,000 times, I know this set front to back. I'm still somewhere full of like nerves and anxiety with my headphones in, trying to make sure I know all my beats so
Mhm.
that it's I can get ready to go up there. So it's like it's definitely, yeah, it's something strange. It's funny because only you as that person knows it, but
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, it's something special.
Trust me, I know it all too well. I know it all
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, all right. So I had a bit of the last bout that I had with that. I had to do a show. It was opening up for his name's Stokely. He was
Okay.
yeah. I was opening up for Stokely and I was playing piano for Kenyatta Rashawn.
Okay.
And I just remember like before I got on stage, just wanting to scream for some reason. So yeah. So
Okay.
I went to my car and I let out the big let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. Just
Yep.
that ball of energy that you have, you just have to get it out.
You got to. You
All right.
have to.
So as an artist, you talked about having so many projects lined up in 2025. I'm curious because between being a producer, being a rapper, in your opinion, what constitutes success for you? Like in terms of I'm putting out this project, I'm putting out this project, and I know, well, I believe a lot of it is just you like this is what I had, and I'm putting it from here to here.
Right.
What like is that success for you? Like that's the success for you, or do you try to go, take it further than that every time?
Um, it's crazy. I'm gonna be honest. Success is something that I have battled with for years because you get told what success is for so many different angles.
Mhm.
Your parents tell you what success is. Your family as a whole tells you what success is. Um, the person you're with, they'll tell you what success is for you as an individual and as a couple. Or, once you have kids, that becomes a different level of success. And your job tells you what success is. So success is always shifting. In hip hop, it's always shifting, right? In music, it's like, okay, first success used to be like, can you get on the radio and can you, print out some CDs with a dope CD cover and push all your CDs in the street? And then it was like, okay, well, now we on streaming. Can you get 1 million streams? And now it's numbers, and it's like, before it was just, oh man, I got a video out. Now it's like, well, how many views do your video got? And did you put marketing behind? So, like, success is always continuously changing, and so I've adopted two. I've come to accept two models for my success that I just live and breathe on, and whether or not it registers with the world's definition of success, whether people will see me and say, "Hey, that guy is successful" or not, I've just learned to accept it because anything else, I think I have just driven my own self like mad over and just been like filled with depression because, oh man, I just did a video and it only got 200 views, and this dude dropped a video and it got 1 million. And I'm like, I'm not successful. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and so it's just like I've come to just cut myself of all those things and define, okay, what does success mean for me? And it's two things. One is, have I taken every gift that God has given me and used it? God has given me the gift to be a writer, an entertainer, a performer, all these creative things. Have I used all those gifts that He's given me? Have I done something with it? If I'm supposed to be, that's why people always say like you when you do an intro, you like writer, producer, credit,
Yeah.
because these are all the gifts that God has given me, and I need to use all of them.
Hmm.
Even if I only do it one time and never come back to it, there's at least proof I did something with it. So that's my first thing. Success is, have I used the gift that God gave me, and then two is, what does it mean in the legacy of leaving something behind for my daughter? Because in a song that I'm working on for my new album, it's called Forever. I say, so every single song, I treat them like a letter, and I hope she read them all. So in the end, it's like I'm here forever.
Hmm.
And that's because every song that I do now, whether it's a upbeat song, a hype song, whatever, I have the intention of, when my daughter gets old enough to be my age and life is hitting her from every angle, when she turns on her dad's song, is there a message for her to be able to lean on? If she watches my movies, is there something in my movie that will inspire her to do something that she's good at? If I write a book, will it inspire her to make her dream big and do something with her life? So everything that I do now has two levels of success, which is one, God, that I use what you give me, and then two, did whatever I create, does it have any kind of formula or engine to inspire my daughter when she gets older? Whether it's, and I see it now, she'll watch a lot of my stuff, she'll listen to a lot of my music, she be singing them in the car, and in my mind, I'm like, that's the goal. That
Hmm.
success is, she's going to one day. I'm not gonna be here. She's not gonna remember what I look like, except for a picture. She might not remember my voice unless she has the music. And so, and my wisdom is probably going to be things which, like my dad used to say. So, when she gets old enough, everything I've created, content wise, movie wise, music wise, book wise, whatever wise, I wanted to be there for her to be like, man, I just broke up with my boyfriend and I'm sad. And then there's a song on Earthborn in 14 Galaxy that says, I know, I've been there too, and you gonna be all right. And she listens to that and she's like, you know what? Pops told me I'm gonna be all right. And so that success to me is that I have something, my voice and my presence to still be here for her, to either encourage her, motivate her, inspire her, or to get her back on her feet. And that's it. Those my two main levels of success. Everything else for me, whether it's, it's money, it's fame, it's success. Even like our homeboys, Sam and Oscar, shout out to them for even, getting in touch and being on T Pain, being signed by T Pain. Stuff like that is great. I've let all that type of success go. If I get it, it's cool, it's wonderful. I wouldn't hate on it, and I don't hate on it for nobody else. But to keep myself sane and motivated, I have to have something higher than just those tangible things to consider myself successful, and that's it.
Awesome.
Is God pleased with what I did, and is my daughter go benefit off it later in life? So
Awesome, awesome. And I'm cheap, so I got the basic Zoom, which tells me we got like 3 minutes left.
3 minutes, three
So
minutes.
my last question, is
Sure.
there anything else that you want to put out there to the world to let the people know?
Yeah. Go check out the channel, man. Maturity Productions. We just had a successful movie release with Leper. It crossed 41,000 right now, but it crossed 40,000 recently. Super huge in my filmmaking career. Something that I didn't expect to happen. Since doing Die for This, where we started off with 200 views, and
Mhm.
now to create a project that's sitting at 40,000. Check out the music, check out the podcast, the Not Very Mature podcast with me and She's Fierce. She's such a dope co-host. We have a great chemistry and a great show. All on the Maturity Productions YouTube channel. And then, man, for anybody that's just out there doing their thing, chasing their dream, continue to do it. Continue to do it. The small stuff, even this interview, like one day this man is gonna be on MTV's channel, sitting on somebody's couch with a platform. Like all these small steps, like, yeah, they might not seem profitable, they might not seem a big platform or encouraging, but every little thing that we do. When I started Die for This, we had 200 views on out of 10 episodes. The highest was like 300 views, and I celebrated that 4 years ago. And now I can sit and celebrate a movie that I did at 40,000. It's all baby steps. People try to act like the journey is something greater than that, and it's not. It's all baby steps. Define what success is for you and then live by it. Don't let nobody else shake you about your success. So
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the one and only Mature the Servant, Mr. Vincent Parker. Thank you very much for this interview. I greatly
I
appreciate it,
appreciate it,
brother.
man. I appreciate you, brother. You know that always.
All right, my dude.